stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drive-In Speaker Box. It's March 7th, 2022. You're tuned in. I'm your host, the Boom Operator.
And I am the Grip.
What? Oh my gosh, he's back. He's back, the man behind the mask. You remember that was like Jason 75 or something? Do you remember?
I don't.
You didn't watch any of the Friday the 13th because you don't like scary movies?
I don't like scary movies.
But you like Jason?
No. I mean, no.
Dude,
I like Freddy.
You were over here saying that you were going to go see
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Studio 666.
I really wanted to see
Murder
it. You watched
Slasher,
it, right?
everything. You were talking about all these horror movies you're going to, and then now you're coming up here going, no, I still don't like scary movies.
Yeah, I mean, I like horror as a genre, but I don't like scary movies. How's that?
Oh, well, there you go. Well,
there you go.
In the comments, we already got a lot of people. If you are wanting to join into the chat, you can do so over on our Facebook, our Twitch, or our YouTube. Just look for the Drive-In Speaker Box. We're going to be here with you for the next couple hours. Shout-outs, Cassandra over on YouTube. We got Bottle Rocket on Twitch. We got Vince over on Twitch. Sam on Facebook. McLean over on YouTube. Shout-outs to everybody that's already in the chat.
Who's who of favorite people?
I know. Look at you guys. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, this week we're going to be talking about some movies. I did go see Studio 666.
Nice.
The new Foo Fighters picture, and I also went and saw The Batman.
Yeah, I watched The Batman too.
So we both independently spent 3 hours of our life watching The Batman, and we're going to be talking about that with you tonight. Yeah, but there was news. There was news. There was all sorts of things. Vince says, my liver thanks Jake for being here. He drinks a lot more solo. I mean, now it's begun. Mm-hmm. And now maybe I'll drink even more.
Yeah, because he'll have split time for talking.
So you can say words, and then I'll drink during your words.
What's that movie where that guy's like, now you say something stupid?
Well, I say that all this show. Is that what this is?
No, yeah.
But anyway, there is some news that has happened. We're not going to cover any any of that Easter egg crap. I don't like talking about that. I don't know if you saw that the Disney is wanting to do even more Muppet spinoffs, which I did not anticipate because a lot of the Muppet content just wasn't bringing in a lot of viewers.
Haven't the last couple of attempts at the Muppet movie thing just not worked out?
Yeah. But the crazy thing that they should have done a long time ago is what they're doing now is they are actually doing a spinoff show about the band, the Electric Mayhem, or Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem are getting their own freaking show. Dr. Teeth.
Yeah, but a complete show dedicated to them.
Well, I mean, what if they're like going on tour and it's like Tenacious D or something where they're traveling around and doing different gigs and then crazy shit ensues and it's like and then there's like I don't know groupies and I don't know. I think it'd be fun. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Like that just sounds like a rad show.
Maybe if it was the pre-Disney Muppets, yeah.
I don't know. I have faith. I think it'll be okay. But I read that and I thought that was kind of fun. Let's see. What else did I read that I thought was kind of interesting? I don't have my news tab, my notes tab open. A lot of. Did you hear that Colin Farrell signed on to do a Penguin HBO Max spinoff?
Yeah, and it's about his rise to power. So I watched an interview with him where they talked about that before going and watching the Batman, and now, is it a spoiler to say?
No, there's no.
They don't get.
You
Batman doesn't
spoil,
kill, so there's no dead enemies.
You can't spoil Batman.
So is it before?
At all? We all know what happens.
Is it before or after the movie?
The Batmobile broke its wheel, and the Joker got away.
Is it Penguin rise to power to where he was in the movie, or is it a rise to power after the events of the movie?
I think it's probably after the events, and that'll get into our review of the Batman.
He's going to take over the Iceberg Lounge and become like the Penguin or something.
But 44 Below was like a reference to Mr. Freeze, right? Wouldn't it be?
No.
Isn't that Absolute Zero?
No, Penguin always had the Iceberg
But he has
Lounge.
the Iceberg Lounge. Yeah, that's his hangout. There was, well, we're not going to. We'll get to the Batman before we got to get all this news. Did you see? I don't play this game. I don't play a whole lot of video games. But God of War getting a live action TV series.
How's it gonna work
at Amazon Prime? I don't know.
How's it gonna work?
I don't even know what God of War really is about. I know it's a bald guy with a stripe eye.
Yeah, he's the ghost of Sparta. That's the whole thing. He was Ares.
Like he's a ghost of a whole region.
Yeah. So the whole thing.
Does he kick people in the chest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So the thing in the first game is that Ares came to him and gave him power, and him and his soldiers were like basically invincible and stuff. But then he became fogged by the cloud of war and ended up killing all of his friends and his family. And he attacked the city. And the clouds came clear afterward, and he realized that Ares had tricked him because Ares is a wicked god. And he's like, I swear vengeance on the gods. I'm gonna kill Ares. And so the whole first game is him getting vengeance on Ares. There's a whole game that's like the flashbacks before, but the main series is him just wreaking revenge on the Greek pantheon, and he's like, nah, y'all are done, I've had it. And he becomes friends with the Titans / not friends with the Titans.
How do you become friends with the Titans? Aren't they
because
just
he's like, you want to kill the
buttholes?
Greek gods? I want to kill the Greek gods. And
right.
they're like, you got it, bud, team up. But then some of them are turds, and so they just duke it out, because in God of War he just kills everyone, including Kevin Sorbo Hercules.
He kills Kevin Sorbo?
Well, Hercules is a real butthead when he encounters him.
I mean, Kevin Sorbo's a real butthead. Have you ever met him?
Politically,
yeah.
But I've had a friend that's met him and said he's a really cool guy, but it was years ago.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
maybe.
anymore. On set of God's Not Dead 2 or whatever, which was shot here in Arkansas. For those of you that don't know,
he did the
Not
voice
Dead
of Hercules in the God of War 3, which is super rad. And then after he kills and destroys the entirety of all of the Greek gods, the new game is that he moved on, and he's moved into
just got more gods to kill.
Norse mythology, yeah. And so people come and start stuff with him, and he has to start taking out all the Norse gods now too, because turns out Thor and his kids are a bunch of turds.
Yeah, dude. So he gets all involved in Ragnarok and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And spoiler on a game that's been out for like 3 or 4 years now, which it doesn't seem that long. His kid is Loki. So he's raising Loki, and yeah, and
then there's the MCU crossover.
Yeah, they've announced the second game coming out and kind of had like a little teaser trailer or whatever. So, but God of War is super rad. I don't know how it's going to work as a TV show.
I don't think most of these games.
It'll probably work better than the Twisted Metal show that's coming out.
Oh God, eye roll groan. Ugh. Hey, what's up? Shout-outs to JR over on Facebook getting a chance to watch us live. Vince, I was only 400 degrees off from absolute zero. That's close enough. I my chemistry is a little rusty.
Sam came in. No more Sub-Zero.
No more
just
Sub-Zero.
Regular zero.
Regular plain old zero. Video game movies, I don't know. I mean, but a show about like gods and things like that that I do like. Good Omens just wrapped filming. So Amazon Prime. I don't know if you guys saw season 1.
I tried to.
I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was good. I thought it was a lighthearted comedy about religious events and gods and demons. That's always kind of fun. Well, you don't like it. What do you need? Did you see the Halo trailer?
Which one?
I don't know. I saw one in the theater. I don't keep up with a whole lot of video games.
Halo is one thing that I on the initial trailers I was like, yes, that's Master Chief. This looks rad. And then they came out with one of the latest trailers, and it turns out that it has nothing to do with the games at all, and they're redoing how they come across the Halos, the Halos are for.
It's going to be, it's going to suck.
It's going to suck. And every fan of the game is like, dude, it's laid out for you already. There's tons of novels, comics, and video games that all intertwined, just like old Star Wars. Like there's so many different forms of media out there that tell the story, and they all agree with each other and make it good. And they're like, but what if it was completely different and doesn't make sense? And everyone's like, no, why would you do that?
I don't know.
It's more than just seeing Master Chief shoot stuff.
Well, that's not what a studio executive is going to say. They go, dude, that guy looks rad. He has a gun. Let's make him shoot stuff. Well, there's all this science and world and guns and,
So we'll see.
greenlit.
We'll see how these video game adaptations go, but I don't have high hopes.
But speaking of sequels and adaptations and expanded universe, going back to the Batman, they're already wanting tons of sequels. That's where we are. We're going to see a lot of sequels coming out. So get ready for that. And Kevin Smith's launching a comic book with his film characters, so maybe he can go super meta. He's going to do a comic book, and then he can do another comic book movie series.
Is it Blunt Man and Chronic?
It's just a whole bunch of his characters. It's just like the Kevin Smith verse, the comic. I don't know. Totally crazy. Shout outs to Tyler.
Pointing out that there's just a Trailblazer or a Tahoe or whatever it is parked in the background because it got turned into a meme. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that hundreds of years in the future on a planet
that was a proto warthog,
light years from Earth, there's just like a 2000 model Tahoe sitting in the background.
Well, what was it? Everybody loves a good continuity error, and I think it was one of the Lord of the Rings films. I don't know if it's the first one or second, Twin Towers or Two Towers or the other towers, whatever it is. And you can see like a car driving, and then you can see Gandalf's like swatch.
Only in the original theatrical version, it was fixed.
Oh, they, the moment it hits the internet or the audience sphere, it's just like, oh shit, we gotta fix this.
Because I remember that being a trivia in when you would sit down in the movie theater, and they still had like the old slides, like it was like the real the disc slides that you would slide in, like the little plates. And it was like, did you know in Lord of the Rings you can see a car in the background when they're leaving the Shire? And I was like, what? And I went home and watched it, and I was like, it's not there.
Nope. Well, it's like, there's a lot of famous continuity errors we've talked about on this show for years. And, there's the famous like stormtrooper hitting his head on the door in the Death Star.
There's the bouncy boulders from when Samson is tearing down the Colosseum on top of all the Philistines, and the rocks bounce. And
there's
stuff.
a lot of, the floating boulders in the Goonies. Speaking of the Goonies, where they hit the water and go float. And then, one of my favorites is the Teen Wolf penis. But it's not a penis.
Yeah, it's just a
dude with
a fly down.
Yeah, he's got his pants undone.
They've never edited that out of the movie because they can't.
They can't do it. It's a critical scene. They could digitally touch it up. They could
go back and digital, but they'd have to erase his arms reaching down to zip it and all that stuff.
It's just so much. And the ghost in 3 Men and a Baby,
or the kid tapping his pants and doing the come here and Back to the Future.
That is one of the weirdest scenes. And I went and I saw Uncharted. I reviewed it a couple episodes ago. And
does Tom Holland do that?
He taps his penis, and then he should have. There's so many continuity errors in that movie. Completely, it's like here. Let me see if I can pretend one where I go, "Hey, cheers, Jake," and then. This happens, and I take a sip, and it's a different cup. There's so many things.
The Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones. Tyler says Éomer drops the sword in Two Towers. In Lord of the Rings, there's several scenes where you can see, the rubber swords, when they're wearing the rubber sword on their hip, and it's flapping,
just flapping. But continuity errors are fun, man. People that get all bent out of shape, it should be a fun game. Don't be so angry at the film because there was a Starbucks cup in the background of Game of Thrones. But anyway, what other? We should probably just jump into reviews because I know we're going to be talking about Batman a lot, and I know I want to talk about. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about with Studio 666.
What if we just have nothing to talk about Batman? It's like
Batman, we saw it. Next, let me jump into what's coming out in theaters this week. We'll keep the news segment pretty damn short because we got a lot of reviewing to do. Not a lot of stuff coming out this week. They're in wide release. There's something called Tyson's Run. It looks terrible. And Off Season also looks very small release. It's about a mysterious letter and a woman traveling to a desolate island town soon becomes trapped in a nightmare. horror, and it looks pretty boring.
It looks like Batman's going to keep getting to make big money.
Yes, and that is something that I don't think I don't think I talked about it last week. But also before I jump into that, Everything Everywhere All at Once is getting limited release this week. Hopefully, it's going to get wide release pretty soon. I know the Springfield, Missouri Alamo Drafthouse is getting it not this week but next, and can't wait to see this movie. But the thing with movies like Batman, and the reason that movies don't come out around these other movies, and one of the reasons, like, I don't necessarily think that we need to have these 3-hour-long comic book epics that, going back to something that we said in previous shows about movies, that there's a difference between movies that we want to see and movies that we feel like we have to. And movies like The Batman are in that latter camp where we feel like we have to watch these films, and, just to be a part of relevant, social everything. And Sam said I had a man bun when the show started. I had a man bun?
Did that ever happen?
I don't know. My hair's never been that long. But, the problem with 3-hour-long movies is they, seeing Studio 666, I had to go see it at the AMC on a Sunday at 9:30. It was the only time. They only had one showing of it because every other screen had the Batman in it, and they're like, well, it's because it's a popular movie, guy. And it's like, no, it's more than that. They're contractually obligated to have a number of showings of this movie and sell enough tickets to get Warner Brothers to even allow them to show this movie. Movie theaters don't just get to pick what movies they want to see or show. It's not like, hey, let's play Back to the Future 3 this week. That'd be real great. They can't do, Black Panther 5's coming out. Let's play it. They don't get to just do that. They have to negotiate deals with, all of these studios, and as Disney and Warner Brothers and Sony are rising to power with these big blockbuster movies that we have to see, they start making a lot of demands. I'm like, well, you want this movie, so what you gonna do for me, pretty girl? And and that's how they talk to the theaters. They're real sleazy. It's Hollywood.
Hollywood is sleazy.
Hollywood is sleazy. And with a 3-hour movie, so let's say, an hour and a half movie, there's 2 hour-and-a-half movies in one 3-hour movie, right? Okay, we all know math. So if you've got 2 screens playing an hour-and-a-half movie and you got 4 showtimes each, that's a lot. That's twice as many showings that you can show in the same amount of time as the Batman. So they have to kick out all these smaller movies to make room for the Batman, and they're also not going to let them go till like 4 a.m. In the morning, where they're going to want to time it out. So the last show will probably be 9 o'clock instead of like going to see like a 10:30 or 11 o'clock and be out by midnight. They're having to plan their scheduling around, and that means all of these small cool movies get booted out. And I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. And so these long, huge movies are kind of a problem. And I feel like Hollywood thinks that we want longer movies because we want more bang for our buck. But dude, it's only $10. Like, come on, dude. But now you've got a.
I have an idea that I'm going to put out there, and when they use it, I want them to give me dollar bills for it. Sam said, I would have been more inclined to see Batman if it had an intermission like Indian movies do, because a lot of Indian movies are that 3.5 hour range, and they put an intermission in like old movies used to do in Hollywood,
which would benefit the theaters.
So what would have been perfect for the Batman is that it went to an intermission, and during the intermission it was Riddler symbols on the screen, and it had a riddle for you to solve during the intermission.
Ooh.
And then when you come back,
and the answer was like popcorn.
Yeah, but it's like in the not like the stupid movie slides, but like we were talking about. It's because the answer was always like, well, popcorn, of course.
Yeah, cold Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and they're like, popcorn available at the concession stand. Idiot, go get some. But instead it had like the cipher stuff, like the Riddler did at the bottom, and then it was like matrixy change, and it gave you the answer to it, and it was like something creepy that related to the movie, and then it goes back into the movie. That would have been cool.
Vince over on Twitch
Dollars, please.
Yeah, give me them dollars. Vince just discovered some of our new emotes over on Twitch. He got the "Shake It Up" emote unlocked and the and cut.
We sang Cars the other day.
Well, we were shaking it up. You know, it's like Hollywood's got to shake it up, and then we had the So I did a an icon emoji or whatever the hell it is for it.
Nice.
But yeah, you know, I think because we're all pretty familiar with like I'm Maria Menounos and welcome to Newsy, and it's like, oh god, and she's like, I love movies. Like, no, you don't. You love a paycheck, and you know, it's like, get your phones out for interactive video game for 10 seconds. And it's like, no, I don't want this. How about you?
Was that a thing? That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's Newsy Arcade. You can download. I'm not gonna advertise Newsy Arcade because they're not paying me. But hey, Newsy Arcade, if you're watching this podcast, dollars please. We will put butts in seats. We will download those apps. We will get tens of 15s of downloads for that app. So look out.
Fathom Events. Where's our money?
Where's our money? Give me the monies. Anyway, Vince found the reboot button, and boop. I made a reboot button. But anyway, you know, the theater makes their money off the concessions. Everybody knows that, right? But an intermission would be great because more and more people are starting to learn that there's 30 minutes of trailers. So they'll show up 30 minutes late, so they're missing all that advertisement.
When I went last night to see the Batman, everybody walked into the theater after trailers had been
Everybody
going.
knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. So let's shake it up and throw intermissions back into the play. But anyway, so let's actually talk about this Batman film. So we went and saw it, okay? It's taken over all the theaters. It's the only thing you can watch right now. It didn't quite make as much money as Spider-Man No Way Back or Spider-Man Empty Wallet or whatever it was.
But that was like the third one in the series and the fourth or fifth movie with that character, and they brought back the other two Spider Boys, and everyone was like, well, there's everything. This one is like new, fresh. They're like, check out the Batman maybe.
It's the Batman. I like how, you know, film naming nomenclature is really interesting because there's a certain period of time that you can go past and then name a movie the same thing, like Scream. I think, you know, it's like, okay, enough time has passed where we don't have to call it The Scream or Screaming or More Scream. We could just call it Scream and we're good. And I think it was like 25 years might be the thing. Who knows? But, you know, the Batman is this thing that we're supposed to realize is, okay, this is fresh, this is new. And it feels like, to me, that there is a sort of pendulum of Batman that we experience in our lives. You know, because Batman really only became a theatrical explosion in 1989 with Tim Burton's Batman. It hit the scene, you know, on the wave of blockbusterdom that the 80s helped create, right? You know, the 80s ushered in this whole concept of an action blockbuster. And then Tim Burton, you know, dropped this comic book bomb on us, and it was quite literally a movement. You know, this film really took the world by storm. But it seems like every now and again we'll go really dark, really gritty, and then we get a really over the top, insane laser Batman, and then just to course correct, we go, nope, we're gonna go back and get a gritty real Batman. So we started with a kind of a gritty real Batman. You know, Tim Burton was dark and gritty, even though it was a little over the top. But then we got Joel Schumacher, and then Joel Schumacher was like, you guys fuck with nipples? Like, you guys like crotch lasers? Because I do. And got all of that stuff going on, and we're like, yo, okay, stylistically this is cool, but I'm getting a little tired of this. And then, you know, the pendulum swung back, and then we've got, you know, the Christopher Nolan verse, and then Christopher Nolan's like, you want dark and gritty, you want realism, you want no Gotham City at all, you want just Chicago? All right, I'm giving it to you. You know what that city looks like, and here it is. And then we're like, all right, cool, Christopher Nolan, we got it. And then all of a sudden the pendulum swings back, and like, all right, we had enough gritty, time for Batfleck. You know, we've got laser things, things. We got, super people. We got Jason Momoa surfing on a dolphin. We got all this stuff. And then we're like, oh, God, this is a little too much for me. And then now the pendulum is swinging back. And it's going, you want dark and gritty again? Well, we're going to give you Hot Topic Batman. And you know what?
Hot Topic.
Get out of here, Bruce Wayne. Don't even need you anymore. It's only Batman.
That's true.
And
I was going to mention that there's a severe lack of Bruce Wayne. And when Bruce Wayne does show up, they're like, oh, look at this.
He must be Batman.
Angsty Wayne.
Angsty Wayne. Well, and so getting into the review of this movie, I would say one sentence, I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
It was good.
Okay, there you go. There you go. For all those people that are going to be like, I can't even believe these guys said this and this and this about this movie.
Sam brings up a good point. Batman Brave and the Bold is the best Batman in the past 20 years, no doubt. Diedrich Bader, one of the top Batman.
Seriously?
Oh,
wait. Is Batman Mask of the Phantasm older than 20 years?
Yes, we're old dudes, bro.
God dang it, man. Because that's one of the best theatrical Batman movies, in my opinion, is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is the animated series movie. Sam asked, worst scene in the theater? Absolutely. 100%. This is a theater movie. It is just very long, so make sure you squeeze out every drop before you go into that theater.
Yeah, it's gonna be a movie that I don't think is really gonna work if it comes on TV and you're flipping channels and you're like, oh, look at that, the Batman.
So Tyler says he loved that it was mostly Batman and less Bruce, and I have to disagree. Because it was 3 hours long. If it was like an hour long and it was just Batman, okay, cool, got it. Rad. I get it. But I know you got your lip bit. Batman as a character, I think, exists only in the fact that the duality of this person that we see is always juggling the fact that is Batman wearing a Bruce Wayne mask or is Bruce Wayne wearing a Batman mask, and you really get to develop the sense of Batman is an asshole piece of crap human. Like, he's not a good dude. And you learn that through the Nightwing storyline. Like, Dick Grayson doesn't like Batman,
You've been watching too much Titans.
I've been reading Batman comics since I was a kid. And, he's not really a good dude. And he's just like this rich white guy. And, and he's angry and he doesn't know how to get over his parents. And, he has this weird code and he's not really a cool dude to hang out with. And, nobody on the Justice League likes Batman.
Wonder Woman likes Batman.
No, they don't. They're
Superman and Batman are best friends.
No, they are not. They when what was the storyline where all the Justice League finds out that
Zatanna likes Batman?
Well, of course Zatanna likes Batman. Zatanna likes everybody. And she likes Constantine, who's my dog. But Batman, what was the storyline where Batman, the Justice League discovered that Batman had contingency plans on all of them?
Yeah, the Brother Eye stuff, the OMAC stuff, the yeah.
And granted, he saved the day, but they were all like, "Dude, Batman, did you really you have this kill me box that's just sitting there?" Ready to
and
kill
then
me?
what's his explanation?
Yeah.
He's like, any one of you can threaten the entire world. You have superpowers, and you've been brainwashed countless times. Like, look at you, Superman. How many times has evil taken your body over? And Superman's like, well, I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, Batman's like, you gotta be able to get taken down. He's
so
like, what am I? I'm a person.
Is Superman or Batman is not a superhero. He is a hero, right?
Well, he's a super.
He is a detective hero. He's only super because he's rich.
No,
because he's only a superhero because he's Bruce Wayne. And so when you take that away, you're missing a very important element of what makes Batman Batman. And to me, I didn't need to see him masquerading as a playboy and doing all this kind of stuff. But, even in the animated series and in the comics, there are avenues that Bruce Wayne's influence and power is able to help him solve these crimes. And I didn't, with all this detective work, because some of my favorite Batman stuff, especially in the animated series, are all centered around the mob stories. And that's why I love that, everyone's like, oh, the Riddler's the bad guy. No, he's not. Falcone's the bad guy. John Turturro did a great job with this role. But, that's a Bruce Wayne world. And there's only one scene, maybe two scenes in the whole 3-hour movie where Bruce Wayne, to get close to Falcone, came in as Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne does have that ability, and they just kind of, I don't know.
But one of the biggest and best parts about this movie is that for the first time in a Batman movie since friggin' Val Kilmer Batman, you got to see Batman perform some friggin' detective work.
Oh no, that's my favorite part. I 100%
actually
agree.
did some detective stuff.
Some DC comics,
Yeah.
some detective comics.
Named after Batman. Yeah. So the whole thing, like at the very beginning of the movie, not a spoiler thing, this dude's murdered and the cops are sitting there. There's like 10 of them in a room. There's 50 of them outside the room. This guy's been killed and he's very important. Everyone's like taking pictures and trying to figure it out. And the detectives are looking around and Batman just glances. He's like, there's a clue. And he just walks over and casually looks at it. And the forensic people are like, how did we miss that? And just start like taking pictures because Batman's there to be the detective.
And I will say that is my favorite part of this whole movie.
Is that he's a detective?
He's a detective.
Yeah.
Like seeing Batman hold a freaking flashlight was one of the greatest things I've seen on film. Like him pulling out a flashlight and looking at a clue. I'm like, yes!
Finding clues, deciphering clues, putting the puzzle together, trying to stop criminals and solve crimes. That's what Batman does.
Yes.
And
Bottle Rocket 5000 over on Twitch, he brings up a good point. He says, I think we'll get more Bruce in the next movies. I bet his arc finishes with him embracing the philanthropic side of Bruce.
Yeah,
and that's
the whole
an interesting thing about Bruce to me is like that's what makes the character interesting to me is because Bruce Wayne keeps forgetting that he could probably do more as Bruce Wayne than Batman, but his dark like vengeance that he carries inside of him makes him want to like punch and kick, but he could follow in his father's footsteps and do a lot more for Gotham. So it's like this balance, and I hope it goes into that.
Well,
that realm.
so this whole movie, it says it's year 2. And one other big praise I'll give this movie is you don't have to watch Thomas and Martha get killed again.
Thank God. We know.
We're well aware of how it happened. So there's an origin story, but you don't have to sit through it.
Well, and this movie, what I think I applaud this movie with is it understands that we all know who the hell Batman is. We all know what he's doing. We know who Commissioner Gordon is. We don't need a lot of exposition on him. We know, oh, that's Commissioner Gordon. Well, he's not the commissioner yet, so we all know because we know there's been 100,000 of these movies.
Yeah, so you don't have to watch child Bruce Wayne watch his parents get shot, Martha's necklace get ripped, and the pearls bounce because every time it's always the same thing. Walking out of Zorro, and you don't have to sit through that. Which it's just like, hey, dude, here's Batman, and you're like, yep, and he's like, and instantly the first thing,
and he's established enough to have like a bat signal,
and the first thing he does is find a clue, and they're like, hey, this is actual Batman. You're like, yep.
But he's not advanced enough to have like as all the the zippity doodah gadgets that the Nolan verse invented. And
and he has some, and he's still learning to use them because it opens up and it's like year 2 of him being Batman. So you could watch like potentially like a year 1 Batman. There's an animated movie out there based on the series of year 1. You could kind of watch that, erase Catwoman from it because this is when they first meet is in this movie, and this is year 2 Batman when he's still getting into it. So I think the whole thing about the Bruce Wayne deal though, since that's already been pointed out that he's not really as prevalent in this, and when he is, he's not talking. He's broody and angsty.
Just like, oh,
because he's supposed to be what, like a 27, yeah,
27, 28,
something like that. And so he's still coming into it. And there's scenes with Alfred that he develops, and you can see that spark of like, I need to be more Bruce Wayne and less Batman, or I need to figure this kind of thing out. So I think it'll work.
You
out.
actually got to see eye makeup on Batman too, which was kind of cool. I think the casting. People ask me this a lot. They've been saying, "Well, what did you think about the cast?" And
hold on,
what?
Bottle Rocket said it would have been June of 2001. The Wayne family could have very well been walking out of Fast and Furious.
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
Can you just imagine, just like
and Martha's
little
like,
Bruce?
Did you see that car? And it was going bow bow. And then why did she wear her like Sunday best to Fast and Furious?
That would be...
I don't know, but the casting to this movie I thought was pretty well thought out. Colin Farrell as the Penguin was incredible. I thought that, it was a transformative performance, something that I really like to look for in Hollywood actors, kind of a la Gary Oldman, where you watch someone playing a role and you forget that it's them. Like, I kept forgetting that it was Colin Farrell the whole time. John Turturro, I think, playing Falcone was great. He didn't go over the top with it.
No, it makes up for all the times he was in Transformers. So
yes,
yeah,
100%. He was great as that. Paul Dano, I think, Paul Dano is a very talented guy that you don't see a whole lot of, and he's just kind of a creep in general. So I thought that was like spot on. Jeffrey Wright, I love watching Jeffrey Wright in just about everything, even though he's Jeffrey Wright in just about everything.
But his gritty Jim Gordon, like, yeah, talking low. He was like a Key and Peele skit. You know what I'm talking about? Like when like,
how'd that go again?
But you know how like Jordan Peele would do.
I'm Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, you know how like Jordan Peele would play characters that would have like that voice.
Step off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let him work.
Yeah. When they're all like, "Hey, we got him in the station and he's in custody," he's like, "Leave him alone."
Let him do his work.
Yeah, back off the bat.
We're all good cops here.
Yeah. So the way he talked seemed like a Key and Peele skit to me a little bit, because he seemed like one of the Jordan Peele's characters.
Jeffrey Wright is so much fun. He's
I know.
So cool.
It was good. It was good, but at the same time, he was just like, "Clues, huh?
You got some more of them clues."
Yeah. Solving crimes.
I thought it was gonna be you up here.
It's just you that I trust. You're the bat. Finding the clues.
But
it's Blue's Clues, baby. And he pulls out his Blue's Clues.
I'm gonna put them in my notebook. That's the first clue.
Notebook. And he has like the green crown. It's like,
we're gonna find another paw print. That's his third clue.
It's the green crown.
Hey, Batman, now what do we do? And then Rob Pat's like, we're gonna think.
And he goes to Wayne Manor and hops in the big chair.
Yeah. Oh, God. I like how we're entertained by this. Hope you guys are as well. But Rob Pat, again, I thought this was an incredibly emo performance that got a little too emo for me in times. Because where he's like punching all these people out and doing these things, he's like, all right, and they go, who are you? And he goes, I'm vengeance. I expected the cops or the bad guys to be like, what? And he goes, I'm vengeance. I was like, what? I'm vengeance.
The dude said he's vengeance.
Oh, yeah, okay, I heard him. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're under arrest, Jim
he was
Gordon.
Just, it feels like the pendulum swing with Christopher Nolan's Batman, where, it's just like, Joker, and then you've got Rob Pat going, and it just doesn't.
I don't know. It was good. I could hear him. I think it was fine. And the whole vengeance thing was sick, because that was the clip they released before the movie came out. They're like, you want to peek at Batman? And it was like that guy walks up to him to slug him, and Batman just beats him mercilessly because there's 20 other guys, and he's like, you want to see what's gonna happen to you if you mess with the bat? And he just beats that dude down. It was sick. Andy Serkis was really good. I like that they made Alfred smart. I wish they would have made him like more SAS, super badass, like Earth 1 Batman, where Alfred's just legitimate SAS, beat you up guy.
So I had a question about the guy that is in Titans season 3. His name is Jay Licurgo. He's an actor that plays Tim Drake in Titans, and he is in the Batman for a very long scene, and he is credited as Train Gang Young Member, and he gets a lot of screen time. And I don't know if this was filmed before or after him being cast in Titans, but did you catch that?
I haven't made it through Titan season 3 yet, and
I
watched episode 1 or 2 when it first released, and then I had something come up in life, and I put on pause. I need to watch it.
So let me ask you if you remember this character at the very beginning of the movie, where he's fighting like the clown guys, the clown
the
face
dude with the half,
the
one person that gets to have half his face out.
He stood out enough to where you recognize him as a character.
I mean, it's like right at the beginning of the movie, and he's
but
like,
you remembered that character, right?
Yeah,
that's Tim Drake in Titans. That's the guy that plays Tim Drake in Titans. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but they can't have him be that old and Batman be that young and him still be Tim Drake.
Well, that's what I mean, when we're getting into these weird that's what I don't understand. Like, is this going to be a multiverse thing? Is this a Flashpoint going to make this Tim Drake? Like, what are they doing? What's going on? Like, it feels...
No, because there's no way that Tim Drake can be like the same age
They
as
could
Batman.
They could have been like, hey, dude, you can't get this role because you're literally Robin in this other movie. Like, you can't. What? It was weird. It was weird.
Maybe it's there for the fans.
Be Creative says, why do Pattinson and Gordon both speak in a whisper for the whole movie? Like, and that's kind of what I was talking about.
Well, and
They're like, hey, you like these clues?
the thing about it too is when he's Batman and when he's Bruce Wayne, there's people that encounter him in both forms, and he says the same thing in the same voice to him, and not one person's like, hold on, like two days ago, the same guy with the same voice said something before he punched me in the face. Is that you?
What?
Yeah.
Well, so
because the whole movie takes place within a week.
It does.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, going back to the Riddler, I liked that the Riddler wasn't the end all be all. I liked that it had.
Was he not?
I mean, it was all about taking down the mob. It was all about the crime and corruption in Gotham.
But even after that, the Riddler.
Yeah, but they had to make a spectacle, like the third act spectacle, which makes a Batman movie. I think that was just. I honestly, I felt that the whole stadium thing was a little bit forced. It kind of felt like, oh, we have to have a big bad showdown. Just because for the people that paid for the tickets and have the popcorn. I think we could have done without that whole scene, and it would have been just fine. And I definitely could have done without that Joker cameo. I thought that was just we get it.
Oh, spoilers!
There's no spoilers. We know Joker exists.
That's the one thing that could have been left out. As soon as the movie was done, I was like, really? They just always have to just wedge him right in there.
Give me like a Clock King or a King Tut or a Mr.
Calendar
Freeze
Man.
or Calendar Man. Some other weird reference. The Joker. Come on, you guys aren't even trying. Poison Ivy. Do something.
Yeah, that was something my girlfriend and I talked about after. It was like, Poison Ivy needs to show up and be better than she was. Have a real Bane instead of just Hulk Bane or not Luchador Bane. Have real drug dealer Luchador Bane, please. Or bring Azrael in or something at some point.
Just literally anybody but Joker. There's so many. They could have done a different take on Ra's al Ghul because the Christopher Nolan.
That was something I thought. I was like, bring in. He's like, oh, detective.
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul. I thought didn't get. I didn't like the Nolan Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, hey, take that back.
I mean, just because it was Liam Neeson and you're biased.
It was Liam Neeson and Ken Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe was but Ken Watanabe was not Ra's al Ghul. He was just an Asian dude.
He was fake Ra's.
Yeah, but anyway, Tyler said that the Joker cameo made his eyes roll as well, and Adam says he wished he hadn't watched the trailer. All the Titus, you just don't watch the trailer. You know it's going to be Batman. Bottle Rocket asks, did Batman shoot up with Bane juice at the end, or was that just adrenaline? Another deep cut, a little deep comic cut.
Okay, if you don't want spoilers and stuff, earmuffs. 3, 2, 1. Hey, I wondered the same thing because I saw him do that, and I was like, is that going to be Venom?
Because Wayne Tech was responsible for that, and Wayne Tech's responsible for a lot of bad stuff, and I think that might be one of those things that's those Easter eggs that I don't think.
This movie they don't touch on the company or anything at all.
No, they don't. But yeah, and it was green. It was juice. It was juicing, getting jacked. Ooh, I'm gonna rage, and could have been. We don't know. Be Creative says, I was hoping it would be Joaquin Phoenix in the cell next to Riddler. That would have been worthy. and 70 years apart. He's just this like withered old skeleton where it's just like, I was on the Tonight Show, and and got him. But anyway, the Batman in theaters. Any parting words on the Batman? It's fun. It's long.
Yeah, just in summation, it doesn't seem as long as it is.
No,
because I was like, oh man, it might end up being really long, and it was fine. And it was good. Batman actually does detective work. There's parts of it that
anybody with the Kravitz last name is just a beautiful sex god, and I will go see anything they do. Dude, Lenny, don't tell me that Lenny's not super hot. Zoe's super hot.
So
they just walk through life exuding just perfection. And
I felt like Catwoman really didn't even need to be in the movie.
she didn't need to be in the movie, but I was happy for it because Zoe Kravitz is awesome. Did you watch her?
Well, that was another. You didn't have to see an origin for her either. She was already Catwoman.
She was just there.
So.
She was Catwoman, doing Catwoman things. Sam says, better than Nolan stuff? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So Batman Begins is the only Christopher Nolan movie worth watching at all. And people always put this Heath Ledger Joker way too far up there because I think that was like their first adult encounter with the character of the Joker outside of a cartoon, perhaps, because they didn't become attached to the 89 Batman with Jack Nicholson Joker, nor were they someone who rushed home to watch 60s Batman with Cesar Romero or something like that. So I think a lot of people have a unjust elevation of Heath Ledger Joker because he's not really the Joker.
I think it's because it pulled a Fight Club, that particular Joker, like
he slammed a pencil into some dude's face in front of Spawn.
Well, it was also, Heath Ledger's, it wasn't technically his last role, but it was his last role that all you guys ever watched.
Yeah,
and
who watched the Mr. Parnassus?
Me, I love that. I have that on DVD. It's one of my favorite movies. And
where all of his friends came together to play him.
Colin Farrell was one of them, in fact. But yeah, that Joker is like, why so serious? Why so Halloween costumes? And everybody's gonna be dressed as that. And yeah, Tyler, you saw Parnassus. Parnassus is a good movie. Anyway, this movie, one of my favorite representations of Gotham in live action, I think, ever. I thought that, aside from Tim Burton's, like maybe Batman Returns, right up there with one of the greatest, borrowing parts of Detroit, Washington, D.C., New York City, like borrowing all the danky parts.
Yeah, it was like New York with the lights turned off, but like the neon still on.
Yeah, and the dirty urban alleyways of Chicago, but the like vacant derelictness of Detroit. Like it was Gotham City felt like
covered in
Gotham's
shadow, and it was
it felt like Gotham.
Yeah.
And, and then didn't they do like a little reference to like Bloodhaven?
Catwoman says something about Bloodhaven. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's your Nightwing reference for nerds, if you're into nerd stuff.
If you're into nerd stuff, by going and watching
the Batman. But see, the Christopher Nolan Batman made Batman cool for brogue bras. And you're just like, yeah, dude, I love Batman. Christopher Nolan Batman's like the best Batman, dude. You're not your khaki pants.
See, and that's another thing Batman Begins did, right? There was no hint of Joker in Batman Begins. It was like, here's Ra's al Ghul. Psych, not Ra's al Ghul. Here's Ra's al Ghul. Also, the Scarecrow's going on at the same time. And it was like, yeah, well, no Joker in sight. Cool.
Not a single one. But anyway, it's in theaters. You can check it out. We only got about 15, 16 minutes left in the show, so I need to shift gears and talk about the other movie I wanted to talk about because it's a big topic that I wanted to approach. But Adam over there, I like that there was less Bruce. You guys and your less Bruce. Jeez, I'm gonna hold that candle for not necessarily 50-50 Bruce and Batman, but we need more than 90-10. You know what I mean? Vince, coming up here with the economics question because you're going to tap into that. AMC, Vince says on Twitch, AMC implemented the surge pricing for the Batman. The surcharge ranging from $1 to $1.50 will remain in place for 8 days. I think this is a brilliant idea.
I didn't notice it on my A-list.
It had because you have A-list, so it doesn't matter. But the thing is, surge pricing has been a thing in European countries for years. Surge pricing, it's not necessarily surge pricing. I think AMC's biggest idea here was, again, going back to what I said at the beginning of the show about this is a 3-hour-long movie. We are losing a lot of screen time. We're losing a lot of potential tickets. We are losing a lot of potential viewers because this movie is the length of 2 movies. And so we're going to charge you an extra $1 if you're coming here on a Friday and Saturday night, because normally our revenue streams would be higher if these movies weren't 3 freaking hours long. I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. If we're going to be taking up their time, their theater, their sound system, their, all that stuff. It's honestly, theater movie tickets have not really, there's a handful of things in this world where consumers will just fight inflation tooth and nail. Price of beer, price of like chicken, price of like it's just dumb shit too. And movies is one of them. And they're like, nah, dude, a movie's gotta be like between $8 and $10 forever. And like, you know, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and a movie was like $10. And a movie is still $10.
Yeah,
and,
let's keep it that way. Don't ruin this.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. When I was a teenager and a movie was $10, I was sitting in a cardboard metal, like, rusty thing with no
Having
cup
to, like,
holders.
Lean because the seats make your butt hurt all the time.
And I'm just like, ugh, I hate this. And
The floors.
yeah, and then I had to sneak in everything because the only options were like $20 Snicker bars and $20 popcorn. And now it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have a Bloody Mary, a cheeseburger, fried ravioli, Kung Pao shrimp, and this is literally what I order at the Malco. I've had all of these things. I'm not exaggerating.
AMC just introduced that
recline.
they have Beyond Nuggets too. You can get like vegan chicky nugs at AMC. Yeah, you can get it all.
So yeah, I'll pay $1 surge price. Get out of here. Like, come on, man. Bottle Rocket says, do I think it will continue for tentpole releases regardless of runtime? Yes. Because just like gas prices, we get used to paying $4 a gallon, then they're going to go down to $3, and they go, well, look, it's cheaper than $4.
It was right in front of me, Tyler. How would I not do it? Batman Beyond Nuggets. Why are they not doing that marketing? Okay, yeah.
You cracked the code. You found
together,
the clues.
AMC, give us money. Me and Tyler.
Oh, man. Well, anyway, okay, so I got to blow through this Studio 666 review really fast, and I apologize to everybody that was waiting for this review. So Studio 666, it's the new film. You know, there actually is another movie from 2005 called Studio 666. Thanks for the resub, Loj. And this one, of course, is written and produced by Dave Grohl, based upon a short story that he wrote.
Based on a studio space that he had rented in like a house or something like that.
Yes, yeah. And you know, it stars all of the Foo Fighters. You know, they're all pushing 50 and 60s now. I think, what is it, Pat Smear is like 64 and shows every day of it. You know, this movie is it's a pretty straightforward cut and paste rock horror movie, and Tyler says he was the only one in the theaters. I was sitting by myself. I went to go see this movie last night, and there was maybe 3 other people in the theater with me. But the interesting about this movie is it harkens back to a time. There is a mini genre called rock and roll horror, like in the you know, it's all 80s because hair metal was a thing, you know, that everybody was like, oh yeah, rock and roll, you play your records backwards, you're gonna summon the devil, and like Kiss and, you know, Motley Crue and Twisted Sister and like all these, you know, these bands coming out that are like, you know, rolling with the devil, you know, it's all about like, you know, rock and roll and devil shit. We haven't seen a movie like that in, I don't know, 30, 40 years, it seems like, except for Deathgasm.
Pick of Destiny.
And, well, I was going to mention that, which Dave Grohl played the devil in, by the way. But, you know, there are a handful of movies like Deathgasm, which I think was an Australian film. Maybe it could have been New Zealand film, you know, going back to this, like, heavy metal origin. You got what?
There's a, is it a movie or a series where this guy gets, like, this cursed black metal album from that Shed thing?
There's like 100 of those.
It's a movie.
There's like, like Black Roses. You remember the one with Gene Simmons, Trick or Treat?
I own it on DVD. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
it has an Ozzy cameo,
awesome.
and
it's Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat.
He plays the record backwards, and then he records it on the cassette and puts it in, like, that guy puts the cassette in, doesn't know, and it like melts his ears and everything.
Yeah, dude.
Trick or Treat's such a sick movie. And that guy comes alive and he like electrocutes people
with the 80s lightning hands.
Yeah, and the burned face because he killed himself in the fire. That movie rules.
Black Roses, another Black Roses. Now, that movie came from 88, and that one is pretty awesome. Rock and Roll Nightmare, Rocktober Blood. You go back as far as the 1970s, you get movies like Phantom of the Paradise, you know, which is a little more, not necessarily heavy metal, but still in the sense of, you know, the devil and music. And even as early like as late as Green Room. Green Room would technically, I would say, is a rock horror movie, where it's about a punk band that goes and everything goes sour. It doesn't really have anything to do with the devil, but it is a rock horror movie. And Studio 666 takes a lot of borrowing from those different genre films and makes it at their own. And I mean, it's interesting seeing the Foo Fighters on screen. Dave Grohl is no stranger to being on screen. He's been in a lot of stuff, and he's hilarious. He's a hilarious dude. I feel like I'm watching a Tenacious D skit when Dave Grohl's on screen. He's very funny. His delivery's there. The rest of his band, not so much. They definitely feel kind of fish out of watery, sometimes Kiss that meets the Phantom of the Park style. They're only doing this because it's a big budget movie and they're not actors. But
well, I watched an interview with Dave Grohl, and he said he had a dream where he was killing all of his friends and bandmates. And he goes to him, he's like, "You guys, I have an idea for a movie. I kill all of you guys." And he said instantly all of them were like, "Let's do it."
Well, and that's the movie. It's like many of these movies in the 80s that follow this genre, it's kind of a zero-sum game. The bad guys generally win. And no spoilers, because if you've ever seen any movie like this, you summon the devil, you're going to get the horns, dude. And Dave,
the trailer for this shows him killing
everyone. Yeah, you're no spoilers.
I think the fun of this movie is just in watching it happen.
Right, and that is also my complaint of this movie. This movie, not an incredibly long runtime, but it does feel like it's dragging. You're going to come in. The trailer leads you to believe there's going to be gore, guts, hilarious kills, splatter fests, a lot of just over-the-top horror comedy, and it takes a really long time to get there. And if you're not familiar with the Foo Fighters, there's going to be a lot of humor that's lost on you. And there's a lot of humor that it's very Foo specific, some 90s specific humor, some there was one scene where Dave Grohl is sitting in a room and he's trying to come up with a good riff. They're trying to come up with the next big album, and he starts playing the beginning chords to "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" Which, I mean, come on, everybody knows Mr. Ritchie's epic. And then he's having, of course, a dream, and Lionel Richie comes in and grabs his hand and he goes, "Hey, that's my song!" And he's getting all into his face.
Is it actual Lionel Richie?
It's actually Lionel Richie. And I was just cracking up, and the four bro bras in the theater behind me had no idea what was going on, and so there is a little bit of, you might need to know who the Foo Fighters are to...
You might need to know who Lionel Richie is.
Or Lionel Richie. Because if you know who the Foo Fighters are, then it means that you were, aware enough in the 90s to understand some semblance of music. But as Tyler says, definitely going to get more of it if I like the band. And as Tyler also said, kind of the same gag over and over. And, I kind of got that. I like that. I wanted to get to the hook a little bit more. There was a lot of just stretching it out. There was a lot of we don't have any more just jokes, so we're gonna try and think of the same joke with a different package. But they should have just got to the gore. They should have just killed more roadies. Or there was a John Carpenter was in this movie. He actually composed the theme with the guys, and the main theme of the movie is John Carpenter's the dude in the studio mixing the album for him.
Really?
And then he's like, "We got to get the hell out of here," and he gets
oh man, they should actually have John Carpenter do that. That might end up being really good.
Yeah, and they actually have Kerry King, which I think was actually a roadie for them. They've got these guys in this movie. And dude, seeing John Carpenter, a lot of people think he's dead. He's not. But as Tyler said, I had a fun time. It's a fun movie. I think if I had been with some friends and not just by myself sober, it probably would have been a really good time. Because most of these horror comedies that I watch, you watch them, you pop them in a VHS or a DVD or whatever with some friends, and you're just these movies are meant to be watched together. And I think if I were to revisit this film with a cold boy in my hand, my homies to my side, I probably would have had a really good time, watching people get their heads sawed off. And there was a really, really funny chainsaw scene, which I'm not going to spoil, but it was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, Studio 666, it's not inventing anything new, but it is resurrecting a weird lost subgenre of horror, and I was pretty into it. So it's fun. If you've got it in a theater near you, check it out. Go support little movies like this. It's not making I think it's in 2,000 theaters nationwide, so you can still check it out. Maybe not I think it'll still be in here this next weekend if Batman didn't squeeze it out. So there you go.
Well, it's been in theaters for 2 or more weeks already, though. So.
2.
Yeah.
Tyler said the chainsaw scene had him crying. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. All right, well, let's hit this box office roundup and let's get out of here. We're out of time. So let's do the thing. We always do the box office roundup. It's the last thing of the show. We do domestic numbers only. This is not worldwide gross because domestic numbers are what everything is based off of in terms of greenlights and sequels. So here we go. Number 10, we have Scream from Paramount Pictures. 8 weeks out, it has brought in an additional $575,000 at the box office, so far bringing it up to $80 million. Supposed to be the end of the franchise, but since it made so much money, it is getting another one. There you go. Number 9, I'm gonna let you do this one because it's one of Jake's foreign films.
Gangubai Kathiawadi?
Yeah, there you go. Paramount distributed this one. Did you see it?
No, I saw the standee for it, though.
I think it was playing at our AMC.
I didn't see it on the list for yesterday, but it might have already had the showings passed when I was getting tickets.
Yeah.
It's a soccer film of some sort. I don't know. I hadn't seen the trailer for it.
But it brought in $592,000 at the box office. Number 8, Cyrano from United Artists Releasing, which I reviewed last week. Second week in release brought in $678,000, only in 790 theaters, but it is playing here in Northwest Arkansas. Brought it up to $2.5 million. Number 7, Jackass Forever, bringing in $1.4 million, which we also reviewed on a couple shows ago. 5 weeks out, it has brought in $54.5 million at the box office. Number 6, Sing 2, bringing in $1.6 million in its 11th week. How is this still playing in 2,000 theaters? Holy crap, 11 weeks at the box office, $153 million total domestic gross. Number 5, Death on the Nile, which has been confirmed to get a sequel, which that is news this week. I meant to talk about it last week, but I'm really excited about it because I did like Death on the Nile. You can check out the review on previous episode. 3 episodes ago. But $2.7 million at the box office. 4 weeks out, it has brought in $37 million domestically. Number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home brought in another $4.5 million in its 12th week in release, bringing it up to $786 million. It's getting so close. I don't think it's going to get the billion domestic club, but it's up there. Number 3, Dog from United Artists, bringing in another $6.1 million in its 3rd week in release. So far, $40 million at the box office. Not a bad take. Channing Tatum can sell those tickets, and everybody likes dogs. Number 2, Uncharted, which we reviewed 2 weeks ago as well. $11 million at the box office. 3 weeks out, has brought in $100 million at the box office. I think it's also getting some greenlit stuff, so you can expect more Uncharted verse there, which they totally springboarded. And, of course, the number 1 movie in America, opening up at $134 million domestically, is The Batman. 260 is what the Spider-Man movie opened at, so it's about $100 million behind that, but still a really, really, really good opening for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but like I said, that Spider-Man is established, and they're bringing back nostalgia with the cast and everything. This one, it was all redo.
Redo.
There's skepticism. We'll see how it goes now that people are seeing that reviews are positive. Yeah.
Batman week 1. We'll see what week 2 has to offer, because not much coming out in theaters next week. So I'm going to try and see what's coming out and check out something for you guys next week. So we'll have something to report back. But Vince says, Fathom Events announced dates for the Studio Ghibli Fest this year. So check that out if you want. You can check that out over fathomevents.com.
I think it starts with Princess Mononoke April 4th, 5th, and 6th. If I remember, it's in April. And it's Mononoke. I'd have to see.
Which is a great movie to see in a theater. Oh, man. So good if you've never seen it. But Ghibli Fest is always a great, they do it almost every year. It's so good.
Yeah. And they do it in different order. And sometimes they change up which ones they're showing. I mean, you're always going to probably have Totoro and
Spirited Away.
Mononoke and Spirited Away.
Give me some of that Castle in the Sky, though. Give me some of that Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, though.
They had that one last year. They had Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind last year. Yeah.
So good. But
Put that Pompoko in the theater.
you're a Pompoko guy?
Dude, it's all about Tanuki.
Well, you do. Like
And
those-
yokai. It's
you
Tanuki
do like
and yokai.
Tanuki. Those Tanukis. That's my favorite sake, by the way. It's raccoons with magic ball sacks. Google it. Don't shake your head. You brought up Tanukis.
I mean, that is the story of Pompoko, is that the Tanuki are trying to protect the forest and get the people to be on their side by shape-shifting with their nut sacks. But
It's what they do.
when you talk about it, it sounds weird.
It is weird.
Japan's weird.
Japan is weird. Well, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Of course, I am always Bo, the boom operator.
Now I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you find your podcast. If you want the audio version of this, you can always find us next week live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can tune into the live stream, which is what we were talking about. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, you can always go, what are they talking about? And you can be what we're talking about. So thanks for everybody that's joining us.
Mononoke right there.
Yeah, the Kodama right there. Boom. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week.